The opening rift, a silence broken not by sound, but by a tremor that ripples across the fabric of the cosmos. Imagine the black canvas of space, scattered with distant stars, suddenly shivering as though something presses against it from beyond. The screen darkens, the heartbeat of the universe almost audible, and the question is whispered. What if our world is not the only one? What if there are hidden layers of reality, parallel realms just beyond our reach? This opening moment sets the stage for mystery, balancing between fear and awe, pulling the audience into the unknown. We look up at the night sky, and for most of history it seemed eternal, immutable, and absolute. Yet even as our ancestors mapped the constellations and traced the cycles of the moon, they sensed something beneath the surface. Myths from every culture spoke of other worlds, the realm of the dead, the heavens above, hidden kingdoms lying just beyond a thin veil. Was this imagination, or an instinctive glimpse into something real? The camera lingers on ancient ruins, torchlight flickering over carved stones, while the narration asks, why has humanity always believed there is more than what we see? The silence of the cosmos is deceptive. Behind it, forces stir. Modern science has shown us that even the emptiness between stars is alive with quantum whispers, with particles flashing in and out of existence. It is here, in this invisible frontier, that cracks might form, doorways that do not creak open, but instead hum silently, their existence hidden behind the mathematics of space-time. The opening introduces the possibility that these rifts may not just be fantasy, but a scientific inevitability. And yet, with possibility comes dread. If such dimensions exist, what do they contain? Do they mirror our world, or do they hold something utterly alien? Cinematic imagery floods the screen. Collapsing stars twisting into black holes, galaxies stretching and warping under unseen forces, quantum particles scattering like sparks in a dark void. The narration contrasts this grandeur with fragility. Our planet, our reality, is but a fragile bubble floating in a storm we cannot see. Humanity has always yearned for exploration, but the closer we come to the edges of knowledge, the more the unknown seems to stare back at us. This section builds tension by juxtaposing the comfort of what we think we know with the terror of what might be waiting in the unseen layers of existence. The tone remains haunting, the pace deliberate, allowing the mystery to breathe. Every line is a hook, each question echoing unanswered. Are alternate dimensions merely ideas locked in equations, or do they breathe beside us, hidden in silence? What if the fabric of our own universe is thinner than we imagine, so fragile that another world presses against it, unseen but ever present? The first section ends not with an answer, but with the whisper of a greater journey. The rift is open, and the silence around it is deafening, drawing us forward into the next revelation. Shadows beyond the veil. Since the dawn of thought, humanity has sensed that the world before our eyes was not the full story. Long before equations, particle colliders, or telescopes, people looked at the night sky and saw in it a reflection of mystery. Stars became gateways, heavens became realms, and death itself was never the end, but a passage into something hidden. This is where our story deepens, in the shadows where myth, philosophy, and imagination converge to whisper of other dimensions. Consider the philosopher Plato, who described prisoners chained in a cave, watching shadows dance upon the wall. To them, the shadows were reality, yet behind them burned a fire casting forms they could not perceive directly. Plato's allegory was more than a metaphor. It was a declaration that the world we see may be only a pale reflection of a richer, higher reality. The question lingers in his tale like smoke. If our senses show us mere shadows, what lies beyond the veil? The imagery of the cave becomes our first cinematic lens, placing viewers in the darkness, chained by perception, yet yearning to glimpse the light beyond. In the East, Hindu cosmology spoke of countless worlds, layered upon each other like invisible strata. The Upanishads tell of lokas, planes of existence beyond our grasp, where gods, demons, and spirits dwell. Each loka is not imagined as fantasy, but as a fundamental reality woven into the structure of existence. The poetic grandeur of these teachings suggests a multiverse of consciousness, a universe not singular but plural. Here the shadows are not just illusions, but thresholds, and humanity is seen as a being destined to move between worlds, not confined to one. The Norse imagined Yggdrasil, the great world tree connecting 9 realms. Its roots burrowed deep into the underworld, while its branches reached across the heavens. At its center lay Midgard, the human world, fragile and vulnerable, yet bound to a cosmic system of realities. This vision of interconnected worlds resonates with startling familiarity when compared with modern ideas of branes, strings, and layer dimensions. Long before physics suggested membranes of reality brushing against each other, the Norse imagined worlds bound by a tree of life, a cosmic axis stitching reality together. Mystics and seers across civilizations spoke of veils, thin barriers separating the visible from the invisible. Ancient Egyptians believed the journey after death was not into nothingness, but into a vast and structured underworld. The Book of the Dead mapped corridors, trials, and hidden gates as though existence itself extended into secret passages. These echoes remind us that humanity, even in its earliest expressions of faith, instinctively sensed complexity beyond what eyes could measure. Whether through ritual, meditation, or myth, people reach for the unseen, constructing symbolic blueprints of dimensions science is only now beginning to theorize. As the narration flows, cinematic imagery shifts between cave shadows, sacred temples, and icy Nordic landscapes, all fading into one another as if part of a single dream. The camera lingers on carved stones, star maps, and ancient manuscripts, asking whether these cultural visions were born from imagination alone, or whether they were intuitive fragments of a deeper truth. Was myth humanity's first language for describing alternate dimensions, dressed in poetry because the tools of science did not yet exist? Or are these stories echoes of something real, glimpsed dimly and passed down through allegory? The tension builds as the narration contrasts wonder with unease. If these hidden worlds exist, what dwells within them? Are they realms of enlightenment, where wisdom and beauty flourish, or landscapes of chaos, where unknown forces lurk? In every culture, the duality persists: heaven and hell, light and shadow, salvation and damnation. The veil hides both hope and terror, making the search irresistible but dangerous. Viewers are drawn into this ancient uncertainty, feeling both the warmth of possibility and the chill of menace. The section crescendos by drawing a bridge to the present. Even now, when we pride ourselves on rational knowledge, the shadows remain. Ghost stories, folklore, and unexplainable phenomena keep resurfacing, as though humanity cannot shake the sense that something lies just beyond the edge of perception. The myths of yesterday echo in the curiosities of today. They are not relics, but reflections of an instinct we still carry. And so, as the shadows deepen, the narrative leaves a question suspended in silence. Were the ancients wrong, or were they pointing toward dimensions we are only now beginning to glimpse with science? The veil remains, and behind it, mysteries stir. Our journey moves forward, from the fires of myth to the equations of modern physics. But the shadows never truly disappear. The fabric of reality. The screen opens with a breathtaking image. The Earth suspended in the void, delicate and luminous, encased within an invisible grid. Lines of light stretch outward, curving and bending as though reality itself is woven from threads. The narration begins with a simple yet unsettling question. What is the universe made of? Not stars or planets, not atoms or particles, but the deeper substance that allows all of these to exist. To understand alternate dimensions, we must first examine the fabric on which our own world is stitched. Einstein transformed the way we see this fabric. Before him, space and time were thought of as separate, space as the vast container, time as a ticking clock, each independent and absolute. But relativity shattered that simplicity, revealing that space and time are fused into a single continuum, space-time. The universe is not a stage upon which events unfold, but a living fabric that bends, stretches, and curves under the weight of matter and energy. The Earth does not orbit the Sun because an invisible force pulls it, but because the Sun warps the very geometry of space-time, creating a cosmic whirlpool in which Earth falls endlessly. The elegance of this vision is intoxicating, but it also invites a chilling thought. If space-time can bend and stretch, could it also tear? The camera pulls back to show distant galaxies twisting under the pull of gravity, light itself bending as it travels past massive clusters. The phenomenon of gravitational lensing is introduced, where the path of light curves around galaxies as though glass were bent by unseen hands. This is not an illusion. It is proof that space-time is malleable, a fabric that can be sculpted by mass and energy. If this fabric can be shaped, then perhaps it can hide layers, folds, or hidden corridors that remain invisible to our perception. The laws of physics hint not at rigidity, but at fluidity, a stage that might have more than one hidden layer. Then comes quantum mechanics, and with it, the unraveling of certainty. At the smallest scales, reality refuses to behave like a predictable machine. Particles appear and vanish, existing in multiple states until observed, as though the fabric of reality is woven with probabilities rather than certainties. In the double-slit experiment, electrons fired through barriers create interference patterns, behaving like waves when unobserved and like particles when measured. The implication is profound. The act of observing changes the nature of reality. What kind of fabric is this, if consciousness itself seems able to alter its weave? Cinematic imagery flows between vast cosmic webs and subatomic particles dancing in quantum uncertainty, the two extremes of scale echoing the same mystery. The narration draws the audience deeper into tension. On one hand, relativity paints the universe as an elegant continuum, smooth and predictable. On the other, quantum physics reveals a chaotic undercurrent where nothing is certain. The fabric of reality seems torn between order and chaos, between flowing geometry and flashing randomness. Perhaps it is in this contradiction that hidden dimensions dwell, beyond our sight, nestled in the cracks between the predictable and the unknowable. The camera lingers on scientists at chalkboards, on vast machines like the Large Hadron Collider, built to probe this very fabric. When particles smash together at near-light speeds, the fabric quivers, revealing glimpses of particles that may point to dimensions beyond. The search for supersymmetry, for hidden particles, for signatures of higher dimensional structures, all of it arises from this conviction. Our universe is not flat and simple, but textured and possibly layered. To physicists, this is not mysticism, but logic, the inevitable conclusion of equations that demand more than the world we see. The narration sharpens with contrast. Humanity's comforting view of reality as solid, familiar, and complete versus the growing realization that it may be fragile, partial, and incomplete. We trust our senses, yet they reveal less than a fraction of what exists. We see light, but only a sliver of the electromagnetic spectrum. We feel gravity, but cannot touch the curvature of space-time itself. Our perception is like a narrow window in an infinite cathedral, and beyond it, vast hallways remain unseen. The section deepens with a metaphor. Imagine a two-dimensional creature living on the surface of a sheet of paper. To that being, the world is flat, with length and width, but no concept of depth. A hand reaching through the paper would appear as a mysterious intrusion, a circle growing and shrinking without context. Now consider ourselves, three-dimensional beings who may be equally blind to higher dimensions. What might reach through into our world, leaving behind traces we cannot comprehend? The tone grows more cinematic, more haunting. The fabric of reality is not simply a neutral backdrop. It is an active, dynamic stage, perhaps riddled with seams and hidden folds. Each discovery about its nature pulls us closer to the suspicion that our universe is only one surface among many. The contrast sharpens further. Science provides order, equations, and laws, but these very laws whisper of incompleteness, of realities beyond. The section concludes by circling back to the original question, posed now with far greater weight. What is the universe made of? Is space-time itself the ultimate foundation, or merely the shadow of deeper dimensions? The silence that follows becomes as heavy as the cosmos itself, preparing the audience to step into theories that dare to unravel the invisible layers beneath our world. The fabric is fragile, and in its threads may lie doorways. The hidden dimensions of string theory. The screen flickers with an image that feels both intimate and cosmic, a violin string vibrating in slow motion, each quiver creating a resonance that fills the air. Then the perspective widens until that string becomes a metaphor for the universe itself. At the heart of string theory lies a breathtaking idea that the smallest building blocks of reality are not particles at all, but infinitesimal strings of energy vibrating at different frequencies to create everything we know. Electrons, quarks, photons. Each is not a fundamental piece, but a note in a grand symphony. Reality, in this vision, is music written in dimensions beyond our perception. The narration draws the audience into a mesmerizing metaphor. Just as a violin string can produce countless notes depending on how it vibrates, so too can strings generate the diverse spectrum of particles in the universe. This idea transforms physics from a story of tiny billiard balls colliding into one of harmony and resonance. But the beauty of string theory hides a startling truth. For the mathematics to work, it requires dimensions beyond the three of space and one of time that we know. These hidden dimensions are not optional. They're demanded by the equations themselves, as though the universe has been whispering of unseen realms all along. Cinematic imagery carries us into these invisible spaces. The narration describes compact dimensions curled up so tightly that they elude detection, folded into shapes known as calibi, Yau manifolds. These intricate structures resemble crystalline origami, each fold a silent corridor shaping the laws of physics. The camera zooms into a visualized manifold, curves, tunnels, and loops twisting in surreal geometries, as the voice explains that the very constants of nature, from the strength of gravity to the charge of the electron, may be governed by the hidden architecture of these dimensions. The laws we believe immutable may be echoes of geometry we cannot see. The contrast sharpens here. On one hand, the elegance of string theory is breathtaking, promising a unification of all forces under one framework. On the other hand, its hidden dimensions remain beyond empirical proof, lurking in silence, invisible to the instruments of our age. The section captures this duality, hope and awe interlaced with frustration and unease. If these dimensions are real, they explain the deepest mysteries. If not, then perhaps we are chasing shadows across equations. The camera shifts to the Large Hadron Collider, to particle collisions that reach energies high enough to momentarily probe the unseen. Scientists speculate that evidence for extra dimensions might appear as missing energy, particles slipping into places we cannot follow. The narration emphasizes the stakes. Discovering such evidence would not only confirm string theory, but would forever alter our sense of existence. To know that reality has more corridors than we can walk would be both exhilarating and terrifying. The section leans into mystery with the idea of branes, multidimensional surfaces upon which entire universes could exist. Our cosmos may be one such brane, floating in a higher dimensional space like a fragile film on a vast ocean. Other branes, invisible to us, could drift beside ours, parallel worlds separated by dimensions thinner than thought. A chilling possibility arises. If two branes were ever to collide, the energy unleashed could resemble the very birth of our universe, the Big Bang itself. In this vision, creation is not singular, but cyclical, worlds colliding and igniting across hidden dimensions. The tone turns reflective, weaving philosophy into physics. If reality is composed of hidden dimensions, then our senses are tragically limited, tuned only to a fraction of existence. We walk within a four-dimensional corridor while the vast cathedral of reality towers above and around us, unseen. The narration evokes the image of a blind traveler tracing a single thread of tapestry, unable to step back and see the grand design. The poignancy of this metaphor lingers. What we call reality may be no more than a shadow of higher dimensional truth. To sustain tension, the narrative acknowledges the criticisms. String theory is elegant, yes, but it is also elusive. It offers thousands of potential solutions, each corresponding to different possible shapes of hidden dimensions. Which of these, if any, matches our universe? The uncertainty fuels both awe and doubt. The section does not shy from this controversy. Instead, it dramatizes it, portraying science not as a finished story, but as a struggle in the dark, guided by whispers of unseen worlds. As the imagery of vibrating strings fades into silence, the narration leaves viewers with a haunting thought. If string theory is right, then the most fundamental truths of existence are not found in atoms or stars, but in dimensions we can neither see nor touch. These hidden dimensions are not distant. They are here, around us, within us, shaping the very fabric of what we call real. Yet they remain silent, invisible, waiting. The audience is left suspended, torn between exhilaration and unease, as though standing at the threshold of a door that may never open, or that might, one day, suddenly reveal the infinite beyond. The doorways of quantum uncertainty. The screen opens in silence, a black void pierced by a single particle of light. It flickers, disappears, then reappears as though reality itself is undecided. The narration begins slowly, whispering a question that has haunted physicists for over a century. How can something so small, so fundamental, behave as though it belongs to two worlds at once? Welcome to quantum mechanics, where uncertainty is not an error in measurement, but a law of nature itself. Here, in the theater of the subatomic, the possibility of alternate dimensions begins to shimmer at the edges of our vision. The audience is taken into the double-slit experiment, the most famous paradox of all. Electrons are fired at a barrier with two slits. Common sense says they should pass through one slit or the other, striking a screen behind in two neat bands. But when unobserved, they do something impossible. They pass through both slits at once, interfering with themselves like ripples in water, creating a pattern of waves. The moment we look, however, the wave collapses and the electron chooses a definite path. Reality behaves differently depending on whether it is watched. This strange dance suggests that at the smallest scales, the universe exists as a cloud of probabilities, branching into paths we cannot see. The narration sharpens. What if those unrealized probabilities are not erased, but real outcomes in unseen dimensions? What if every path an electron could take is actually taken, but in parallel realms beyond our reach? The camera dissolves into haunting imagery, electrons scattering into countless ghostly trails, each trail expanding into a universe of its own, each reality existing beside ours in silence. The uncertainty principle. Heisenberg's discovery that one cannot measure both position and momentum with perfect accuracy becomes not just a limit of knowledge, but a doorway to hidden truths. Cinematic visuals carry the audience deeper. A single atom pulses against a dark backdrop, its orbiting electron described not as a fixed path, but as a shimmering cloud, spread across possibilities. The narration explains that quantum fields underlie all of reality, unseen scaffold from which particles emerge like sparks from a fire. These fields fluctuate endlessly, hinting that what we call empty space is in fact alive with potential. In these fluctuations, some physicists suspect, lies the possibility of dimensional crossover, brief, silent bridges between our universe and another. The pace quickens, pulling us to experiments with entanglement. Two particles created together remain mysteriously connected, no matter how far they drift apart. Change the state of one, and the other responds instantly, as though distance does not exist. Einstein dismissed it as spooky action at a distance, but today entanglement is proven, measured, and even used in laboratories. What could bind two particles across space with no signal, no messenger, no delay? Perhaps the answer is unnerving. They're not truly separated at all, but still connected through hidden dimensions that bypass the space we know. The narration now contrasts hope and fear. On one hand, quantum mechanics reveals possibility, realities that branch, connect, and overlap, giving us a sense that the cosmos is richer than we imagined. On the other hand, it leaves us unsettled, suggesting that the ground beneath our feet is unstable, a shifting sea of uncertainty where nothing is ever fully solid. Our perception of a stable world may be an illusion stitched together from probabilities collapsing in a form only when observed. What does this say about the nature of existence itself? Are we participants in reality, shaping it with our awareness, or are we simply perceiving fragments of a far larger structure that spans hidden realms? Images shift to vast labs glowing with machinery, quantum computers harnessing entanglement and superposition to perform calculations unthinkable to classical machines. These are not just scientific marvels, but glimpses into the practical consequences of alternate dimensional behavior. If we can manipulate uncertainty, then perhaps we can one day learn to cross thresholds we now barely understand. This section intensifies with mystery. What if technologies of the far future could exploit these hidden doorways, giving us access to dimensions we currently only theorize about? The voice lowers, more haunting, as the focus turns to the role of consciousness. Some interpretations of quantum mechanics, such as the Copenhagen view, suggest that observation collapses the wave function, making possibility into reality. Others, like the many-worlds interpretation, argue that no collapse occurs at all, that every possibility is realized, branching into countless parallel dimensions. The audience is caught in the tension. Either we are central to reality itself, shaping it by observing, or we are one of infinite copies, drifting in an endless ocean of universes. Both possibilities inspire awe, both inspire dread. As the section nears its close, imagery turns abstract and dreamlike. Quantum particles dance like fireflies, flickering in and out of being. Shadows of invisible dimensions overlap, brushing against our own. The narration whispers the lingering thought. Perhaps quantum uncertainty is not just a limitation, but a doorway, a veil through which the smallest of particles pass freely, hinting at a structure far grander than we can perceive. The scene fades with a final paradoxical question. If reality at its foundation is uncertain, what does certainty mean for us? Are we the architects of existence, or wanderers lost in a labyrinth of dimensions we cannot see? The silence that follows leaves the audience suspended, standing before a doorway that is both terrifying and beautiful, a portal that may never close. The multiverse mirage. The screen brightens with an ocean of galaxies, each one spiraling in silent majesty. Then, as the camera pulls back, those galaxies themselves become dots, scattered like glowing dust in an infinite darkness. A haunting voice asks, what if this is only one of countless universes, a bubble floating in a cosmic sea of bubbles? What if our universe, with all its stars, planets, and stories, is just one verse in a far greater multiverse? This question is not fantasy. It is one of the most daring ideas in modern science, a vision that expands possibility while shaking the very foundations of meaning. The narration introduces the first vision of the multiverse, eternal inflation. In this scenario, the universe did not begin with a single bang, but with a ceaseless process of expansion. Like boiling water, space-time itself produces bubbles of universes, each sealed from the others, each with its own physical laws. Our cosmos is just one bubble in a frothing cosmic ocean, drifting silently beside universes we can never see. Some may have no stars at all. Others may burn with laws so alien that life cannot exist. And somewhere, perhaps, lies another bubble almost identical to ours, where another you listens to this same story. Cinematic imagery illustrates the concept with surreal power. Vast cosmic bubbles collide and drift, some glowing with galaxies, others empty and silent. The narration contrasts the grandeur of infinite possibility with the dread of insignificance. If there are endless universes, then are we meaningful, or just one copy among infinite versions? The audience is suspended between exhilaration and existential fear. The voice moves to another theory, the many-worlds interpretation of quantum mechanics. In this vision, every quantum event that could happen does happen, but in different branches of reality. When you choose to turn left instead of right, reality splits. Somewhere, another version of you took the other path, and both outcomes are real. The universe does not eliminate probabilities. It creates worlds to contain them all. The narration invites viewers into a dizzying reflection. Every decision, every possibility, may exist somewhere. What does free will mean if all choices are made in some dimension? Are we unique, or echoes among countless copies? The pacing slows to deepen the tension, introducing brane cosmology, a theory born from string theory. Imagine our universe as a three-dimensional surface, a brane, floating in a higher dimensional space. Other branes may drift parallel to ours, invisible yet near. The Big Bang itself might have been the result of two such branes colliding, their crash releasing the energy that birthed our cosmos. If true, then universes are not only numerous, but physical neighbors, brushing past each other in a vast higher dimensional arena. The haunting possibility arises. Collisions may happen again, igniting futures we cannot imagine. The narration pulls the audience into a contrast of wonder and terror. On one hand, the multiverse is intoxicating. It promises endless realities, infinite chances, universes where dreams are real. On the other hand, it is merciless. If there are infinite versions of us, then individuality becomes fragile, perhaps even meaningless. The very idea that we are special is stripped away, replaced with an image of infinite doppelgangers scattered across invisible realms. The camera fades between mirrored reflections of faces, each one slightly altered, multiplying into infinity, until the image dissolves into cosmic silence. Yet mystery remains. If the multiverse is real, why can't we see it? Scientists search for signs. Patterns in cosmic microwave background radiation, hints of collisions between universes, distortions in the structure of space itself. Some claim anomalies already whisper of other worlds brushing against ours. Others argue that the multiverse can never be proven, that it is philosophy masquerading as science. The narration builds tension from this uncertainty, hope colliding with doubt, the thrill of possibility battling the fear of chasing a mirage. The audience is reminded that myth and philosophy hinted at this long before science. From Hindu cosmology's countless worlds to Buddhist visions of infinite realms, humanity has always imagined reality as layered, multiplied, endless. Perhaps the multiverse is not a modern invention, but a rediscovery of an intuition as old as thought itself. The imagery cuts between ancient scrolls and modern equations, between chants in temples and data on screens, showing that the dream of other worlds has never left us. The section crescendos by reflecting on the human heart. Why does the idea of infinite universes captivate us so deeply? Because it stretches hope to its breaking point. Somewhere in the multiverse, every dream comes true. Every mistake is undone. Every loss is reversed. But the narration cuts sharp with contrast. If every dream is real somewhere, then so is every nightmare. Worlds of suffering and horror exist alongside worlds of beauty, each as real as our own. The multiverse is not comfort. It is both paradise and abyss, hope and terror, coexisting in silence. The scene fades with a lingering question, whispered into the cosmic void. Are we gazing into the infinite or chasing shadows? The multiverse may be the grandest revelation in science, or the most elaborate mirage ever conceived. And as the galaxies fade into darkness, the audience is left with a chill, standing before an infinity that may exist just beyond the veil of perception. The mirror paradox. Imagine walking through a hall of mirrors, each reflection not merely copying your movements, but stepping out, living its own life, making choices you did not. The reflections multiply, infinite and unbounded, each carrying a version of you that feels just as real, just as alive. This is the strange world of parallel selves, where identity becomes slippery, and the question arises, who are you if countless versions of you exist in dimensions unseen? The narration begins here, plunging the audience into one of the most haunting aspects of alternate dimensions, the existence of shadow selves. The camera lingers on the faces of ordinary people on crowded streets. The narration explains that in a multiverse where every possibility plays out, every person is not singular, but multiplied. Somewhere else, another version of them exists with different memories, different triumphs, different regrets. A version that made the opposite choice at every fork in life. A version that succeeded where they failed where they succeeded. A version that never existed in this world but thrives in another. Suddenly, individuality, the anchor of our lives, feels fragile. The imagery transitions to quantum mechanics, where the seeds of this paradox sprout. In the many worlds interpretation, every quantum event creates branches of reality. The narration draws the audience into a scenario. You stand at a door, undecided whether to knock. In one world, you do. In another, you don't. Both choices unfold. Both lives are lived. Somewhere, there is a version of you who walked away and never met the person behind that door. And that single divergence reshaped their universe forever. The narration's tone shifts between awe and unease, balancing the thrill of infinite possibility with the terror of being endlessly fragmented. Cinematic contrast deepens as philosophy enters the stage. Ancient thinkers wrestled with identity long before science spoke of many worlds. The ship of Theseus posed a puzzle. If a ship's planks are replaced one by one, is it still the same ship? The narration parallels this to our own lives. We change constantly, cells replaced, memories restructured, choices altering us. Are we still the same person, or are we already different versions of ourselves through time? When seen against the idea of parallel universes, this puzzle becomes magnified. If infinite versions of us exist simultaneously, which one is the true self? The screen darkens and shadows ripple across mirrored surfaces. The narration builds suspense with the notion of the doppelganger, a timeless symbol of the other self. Myths and legends describe meeting one's double as an omen of death, a chilling reminder that identity may not be singular. The camera cuts between folklore and science, between ghostly doubles and equations of quantum states. The narration suggests that perhaps humanity's ancient fear of doubles was a primitive echo of the multiverse, an instinctive recognition that reality may not contain only one of us. The pacing shifts, turning from myth to modern psychology. How we define who we are, if versions of us exist with different lives. Is identity tied to memory, to continuity, to choices? If every possible choice exists in some dimension, then free will takes on a haunting ambiguity. Perhaps we are not defined by what we choose, but only by what we experience in this one thin strand of reality. The narration challenges the audience with a sharp contrast. Are we empowered by the idea that other versions of us exist, or diminished by the thought that our life is only one of infinite variations. The emotional weight grows as the narration turns personal. Imagine another you who never lost someone you loved, who found happiness you were denied. Somewhere, that version of you is smiling, while here you ache with loss. But contrast strikes again. Somewhere else, another version of you suffers far more than you do now. The multiverse promises that every joy exists, but also guarantees that every pain is real too. Identity becomes not only fragmented, but haunted by shadows of what could have been, what might still be, in realms forever beyond reach. The audience is led deeper into the paradox. If all versions are equally real, is individuality an illusion? The narration draws the image of a library filled with endless books. Each book contains the story of a life, some short, some long, some tragic, some triumphant. Your story is one book among infinite shelves. Does that make it less meaningful or infinitely precious? Here, the narration offers a moment of pause, inviting viewers to feel both the dizziness of insignificance and the intimate urgency of being alive in this one fleeting version. The cinematic score rises, carrying the audience toward mystery. Scientists speculate that echoes of other versions of us might slip into this reality, faint and fleeting. Strange déjà vu, uncanny dreams, the unexplainable sense of having lived something before. Could these be glimpses of parallel selves brushing against our awareness? Though unproven, the idea lingers like a ghost, unsettling yet magnetic. It asks whether we are alone in our own skin or one among countless selves layered across invisible walls. The section builds to its final crescendo, returning to the image of the mirror. In front of it stands a single figure, staring into infinite reflections that ripple and stretch into darkness. The narration asks the haunting question, if there are endless versions of you, then what is the true self? Are you the reflection in the mirror, or the one standing before it? Or are you both, and neither? The scene fades to black, leaving the audience suspended in unease, with the echo of the paradox still whispering. The more we search for ourselves across the dimensions, the less certain we are of who we truly are. The veil of hidden dimensions. The screen begins with a slow movement through the vastness of space. Stars scatter like diamonds against black velvet. Galaxies stretch into spirals of light, and then the camera slips between them, plunging into the silent darkness that holds everything together. But this darkness is not empty. The narration pierces the silence. What if the fabric of reality hides layers we cannot see? What if our universe is not three-dimensional space with time flowing forward, but something richer, deeper, folded with unseen directions? These hidden dimensions, whispered by physics and philosophy, may be the silent laws that govern everything we know. The narration invites viewers into a journey of perception. Human senses, marvelous as they are, can only grasp a sliver of reality. We see a narrow band of light, hear a limited range of sound, feel only the surfaces we touch. Like fish in water, we live inside space without comprehending its boundaries. But mathematics and theory suggest more. Einstein showed us space-time, 3 dimensions of space woven with time, bending and curving under the weight of gravity. But string theory, one of the boldest frameworks in physics, proposes that reality may not stop there. It may have 10 or even 11 dimensions, curled so tightly that we cannot see them, yet essential to the existence of everything. Cinematic imagery unfolds. A thin thread vibrates in silence, each vibration glowing with energy. The narration explains that according to string theory, the smallest building blocks of the universe are not particles, but vibrating strings. The way they vibrate determines what kind of particle they become: electron, photon, quark. But for these vibrations to exist, hidden dimensions are required, compact and invisible, like curled origami folded inside reality itself. Without them, the strings cannot sing their cosmic song. The pacing deepens as the narration introduces the idea of compactification. Imagine a sheet of paper rolled into a tiny cylinder, flat to the eye, but carrying another hidden direction when magnified. Similarly, extra dimensions may be coiled so tightly that they evade detection, yet shape the laws of physics we experience. Gravity, the most mysterious of forces, may be the key. Some physicists suggest that gravity appears weak not because it is small, but because it leaks into these hidden dimensions, spreading its strength across realms we cannot perceive. The audience is pulled between awe and unease, sensing that reality itself may be far stranger than our senses admit. The contrast sharpens with philosophy. Ancient traditions often spoke of unseen realms layered alongside ours. Mystics described planes of existence, worlds overlapping but inaccessible. The narration draws the parallel. What modern physics describes as dimensions may echo these age-old intuitions. Are scientists uncovering truths once cloaked in myth? Or are myths merely poetic shadows of what science now seeks to measure? The juxtaposition pulls viewers into both mystery and wonder, balancing empirical rigor with the timeless hunger for meaning. The imagery shifts to the Large Hadron Collider deep underground. Sparks of particles collide in bursts of energy, detectors recording the debris of the invisible. The narration explains that scientists search for evidence of hidden dimensions in these experiments. If extra dimensions exist, high-energy collisions might produce particles that vanish into them, leaving behind strange signatures, like footprints disappearing into the dark. So far, results remain inconclusive, yet each experiment whispers a promise. Behind the veil of what we see, something more may be waiting. The narration grows more intimate, turning from science to human experience. Hidden dimensions are not only physical, they are metaphorical. Just as reality may contain unseen directions, our lives, too, contain unseen depths. Memories, emotions, subconscious impulses, all invisible, yet shaping our existence. The film overlays images of people walking through city streets, unaware of the vast inner worlds carried in their minds. The parallel is haunting. Just as we live blind to hidden dimensions of the cosmos, we walk blind to hidden dimensions within ourselves. The cosmos and the human heart mirror each other in mystery. The tone shifts again, returning to the frontier of speculation. If hidden dimensions are real, what could they hold? Entire universes separated from us by the thinnest veil. Forces or particles unknown to us. Perhaps even forms of life adapted to those higher dimensions, invisible but present. The narration does not declare but asks, pulling the audience into suspense. Are we truly alone in what we perceive, or are we surrounded by realities layered just beyond our grasp? The contrast rises to a crescendo. Hidden dimensions offer both liberation and terror. Liberation because they expand the possible, new physics, new worlds, new hope. Terror because they remind us of how little we truly know. If entire realms exist beside us unseen, then we are like children playing on the surface of a deep ocean, unaware of what swims beneath. The narration lingers on this image, holding the audience in a mix of awe and fear. As the section closes, the screen fades to an image of folded fabric, each fold glowing faintly, suggesting layers upon layers beyond sight. The narration leaves the audience with a question that resonates like a whisper across the void. If the silent laws of hidden dimensions shape our every moment, then are we ever truly seeing reality, or only a shadow of its deeper truth? The architecture of time. The film opens with the slow drip of water echoing in darkness, each drop falling into a pool and sending ripples across its surface. The narration begins with a chilling whisper. We take time for granted, yet it is the most mysterious force in existence. We imagine it as a straight line, an arrow pointing from past to future. But what if this arrow is only an illusion? What if time is not linear, but layered, curved, or even infinite in directions we cannot yet comprehend? This section plunges into the silent laws of alternate dimensions as they apply not to space, but to time itself. The audience is drawn into a visual of sand slipping through an hourglass. Each grain falls inevitably downward, yet in slow motion. The narration asks, must it always fall this way? Could time flow differently in another dimension? Physics already hints at such possibilities. Einstein's relativity shattered the classical idea of absolute time. According to relativity, time is elastic, slowed by gravity, stretched by speed. On a mountain, clocks tick faster than in the valley. For astronauts orbiting Earth, time runs differently than for those who remain on the ground. Already, time is not a single universal rhythm, but a local phenomenon, shifting with the fabric of space itself. Cinematic imagery illustrates this paradox. Two twins, one remaining on Earth, the other traveling near the speed of light. When reunited, one has aged more than the other. This is not fiction. It is the twin paradox, a real implication of relativity. The narration emphasizes the awe. Time, which feels so absolute in daily life, fractures under the silent laws of physics, showing us that the past, present, and future are not as stable as they appear. The pacing deepens as the film explores the block universe theory. Imagine time not as a flowing river, but as a frozen landscape. In this vision, past, present, and future all exist simultaneously, like pages in a book. We flip through the pages one at a time, but the entire book is already there. Every moment you have lived, every moment you will live, exists at once, stacked across dimensions. The narration contrasts wonder with unease. If the block universe is true, then free will dissolve. Every decision has already been made, written into the fabric of space-time. Are we explorers of the future or prisoners of an unchanging script? Philosophy deepens the paradox. Ancient cultures perceive time differently. For the Mayans, time was cyclical, repeating endlessly like the seasons. In Hindu cosmology, universes themselves are born and destroyed in vast cycles of creation and dissolution. The narration contrasts this with modern science, suggesting that our linear obsession with progress and chronology may be a cultural illusion, not a cosmic law. If alternate dimensions exist, perhaps time itself takes on different forms within them, linear in one, cyclical in another, or branching like a tree of infinite outcomes. The imagery darkens as the narration introduces the possibility of time travel. If time is elastic, if past and future coexist, could we move through it as we move through space? Wormholes, tunnels through space-time, emerge as cinematic visuals, bending the universe into impossible loops. Some physicists suggest these shortcuts may exist, though unstable and dangerous. Others warn of paradoxes. If you travel back and change the past, what happens to the future? Do alternate dimensions split off to contain the contradiction, or does causality itself collapse? The narration intensifies the suspense, asking whether time is a path to freedom or a trap waiting to break. The camera cuts to human faces, reminding us that time is not just physics, but emotion. We feel time as loss, as memory, as the weight of moments slipping away. We ache for the past. We fear the future. We cling to the fleeting present. But if time is an illusion, then what does this longing mean? The narration pulls the audience inward. Perhaps our griefs and hopes are tied not to reality, but to our perception of a single thread within a much larger tapestry. The cosmos may hold every moment forever, but our minds are bound to experience them one by one. This contrast between the permanence of physics and the fragility of human life stirs both comfort and sorrow. The section turns to the cutting edge of theory. Quantum mechanics adds yet another twist. Some interpretations suggest that the act of observation itself creates the present, collapsing a haze of probabilities into one moment. If true, then time may not flow until consciousness touches it, meaning reality itself is bound to awareness. The narration carefully balances awe with dread. Does this make us creators of time, or captives of its hidden rules? The cinematic score swells, building toward revelation. If alternate dimensions exist, then time may not run at the same pace in each. Some universes may be frozen, locked in eternal stillness. Others may accelerate, burning through eons in an instant. Somewhere, time may even flow backward, unraveling events in reverse. These possibilities expand the imagination beyond comfort, forcing us to see that time itself is not a single law, but a dimension as malleable and mysterious as space. The final imagery lingers on a watch ticking in the dark. The narration whispers, "We live as though time is a river carrying us forward. But perhaps it is a maze, a labyrinth of hidden dimensions, in which we are wanderers who see only the path directly ahead." The section closes with a haunting question. If time is not what it seems, then have we ever truly lived in the present, or are we forever drifting across an unseen architecture of eternity? The shadow universe hypothesis. The screen opens with an unsettling symmetry. Stars ignite across the blackness, mirrored perfectly as though reflected in an invisible glass. Galaxies spiral in one direction, then in the other, twin whirlpools spinning in silence. The narration begins with a whisper that carries both wonder and dread. What if our universe is not alone, but balanced by a twin? A shadow universe, invisible yet parallel, where the laws of physics may mirror our own, where time might flow in reverse, where the very particles that shape reality exist as ghostly counterparts to ours. This is the shadow universe hypothesis, a possibility that hints we may share the cosmos with a reflection so strange it feels both alien and familiar. The camera drifts into the smallest scale, into the heart of particles. The narration explains that modern physics speaks of matter and antimatter, pairs of particles identical in mass but opposite in charge. When they meet, they annihilate, releasing pure energy. Yet, a puzzle lingers. If matter and antimatter are perfect opposites, why does our universe contain matter at all? At the dawn of creation, matter should have been destroyed by antimatter, leaving only light. But matter triumphed, and we are here. This imbalance raises a haunting possibility. Perhaps antimatter was not destroyed, but swept into another realm, a shadow universe, still unfolding parallel to our own. The imagery cuts to physicists in laboratories, their machines humming like colossal instruments of mystery. Experiments attempt to probe whether particles are subtly influenced by forces beyond our universe. Some speculate that mirror particles could exist, shadow versions of electrons, protons, and neutrons that barely interact with our world, yet form stars, planets, even life in theirs. The narration leans into suspense. If such a universe exists, it may not be science fiction, but a neighbor we can never quite touch, a silent companion to our existence. Philosophy sharpens the intrigue. For every yes, there is a no. For every life, a death. For every act of creation, an echo of destruction. The idea of a shadow universe resonates with humanity's oldest myths, the yin and yang, light and dark, visible and hidden. The narration invites viewers to consider whether science is rediscovering truths that ancient cultures expressed through symbols. The world we see is only half the whole, and the other half waits in silence. The pacing quickens with a twist of terror. Some theories suggest the shadow universe is not merely invisible. It may run backward in time. Imagine a reality where entropy decreases, where broken objects reassemble, where the future collapses into the past. To beings inside such a universe, it would feel natural, while to us it would seem incomprehensible. The narration lingers on the unsettling contrast. Perhaps our Big Bang was not the beginning of one universe, but the collision of two, expanding in opposite directions in time. Our arrow of time points forward, there's points back. Together, they form a perfect balance. The imagery becomes more personal. If a shadow universe exists, then every action here may ripple faintly there. The narration asks, do we cast shadows across dimensions without knowing it? Could echoes of ourselves exist in that mirrored realm? Not copies, but opposites, defined not by similarity, but by contrast? The thought stirs both awe and unease, pressing the audience to feel the weight of duality. The score deepens as science returns to the fore. Dark matter, the invisible substance that makes up most of the cosmos, may be a clue. It shapes galaxies through gravity, yet it cannot be seen or touched. What if dark matter is the matter of the shadow universe, bleeding into ours only through its pull? If true, then we are surrounded by the gravity of another cosmos, hidden in plain sight, pressing against us with every step we take. The narration slows, allowing the tension to breathe. If there is a shadow universe, then what does it mean for us? It may hold no reflection of our lives, no alternate selves, no parallel Earths. Or it may hold everything, stars, civilizations, intelligences we can never meet. A haunting duality emerges. The shadow universe could be barren and cold, or it could teem with life, forever unseen. The very uncertainty amplifies the mystery. Philosophical reflection deepens the narrative. Humanity craves completeness, the comfort of wholeness. Yet the idea of a shadow universe forces us to confront incompleteness, the possibility that we are only half of a greater cosmic design. The narration contrasts hope with fear. On one hand, the shadow universe suggests balance, harmony, a cosmos built on symmetry. On the other, it whispers of separation, of being divided from our unseen twin forever. As the section builds toward its climax, the imagery returns to the mirrored galaxies, now spinning closer together. The narration asks whether science will ever pierce the veil, whether a particle will vanish into the shadow universe and prove its reality, or whether the hypothesis will remain a ghostly speculation. The screen fades slowly into darkness, the mirrored light of galaxies dissolving into a black void. The closing line drifts like an echo. Perhaps we are not alone in the cosmos, but paired, balanced by a reflection we cannot see. And if so, then the shadow we cast across the void may be just as real as the world we walk in now. The quantum bridges. The screen opens with a breathtaking visualization, a luminous web of threads stretching across the darkness, each filament pulsing with energy, connecting points that seem impossibly distant. The narration begins. What if the universe's dimensions and hidden realms we have imagined are not isolated, but linked by secret pathways? These are the quantum bridges, hidden connections woven into the very fabric of reality, channels through which matter, energy, and perhaps even consciousness might travel. They are invisible, untouchable, yet they hint at a cosmos more intertwined than we dare to imagine. The audience is taken deep into the strange realm of entanglement. Two particles, born together, remain mysteriously connected, even across vast distances. Change one, and the other responds instantly, as though space itself is no barrier. The narration emphasizes the eerie suggestion. Perhaps entanglement is more than a quantum curiosity. Perhaps it is a signpost, pointing toward hidden pathways that link separate realities, threads connecting universes like a cosmic web. The boundaries of our world may be porous, and these bridges the silent gates between them. Cinematic imagery shifts to the theory of wormholes, tunnels through space-time predicted by Einstein's equations. Wormholes could, in principle, connect distant regions of our universe, or even different universes altogether. The narration highlights the danger and allure. Stable traversable wormholes may be impossible, or they may require exotic matter to keep open, yet the equations insist that such bridges are not forbidden. They exist at the edge of plausibility, teasing our imagination with glimpses of what might lie beyond the veil. The contrast sharpens. The same physics that gives us order, predictability, and stability also hints at chaos, shortcuts, and hidden connectivity. The narration paints a cinematic image, a spaceship slipping through a tunnel of light, emerging in a distant star system instantaneously. Or perhaps not a spaceship, but a particle, a wave of energy, or a ghostly echo of consciousness, slipping between dimensions along these bridges. The audience is suspended between awe at possibility and fear of the unknown. The pacing slows to reflect on the mysterious implications for causality. If quantum bridges allow matter or information to move between dimensions, could actions in one universe ripple into another? Could our choices resonate beyond the boundaries we perceive? The narration introduces thought experiments, particles vanishing into one universe and appearing in another, worlds overlapping like transparent sheets, subtle nudges altering outcomes across dimensions. It is both thrilling and disquieting, suggesting that reality is not a closed system, but a network of invisible highways. The imagery shifts to laboratory experiments seeking evidence. Quantum teleportation has been achieved on tiny scales. Photons and atoms transmitted from one location to another via entanglement. While this is not travel in the science fiction sense, it demonstrates that quantum states can bridge distances in ways classical physics cannot explain. The narration draws the subtle connection. If states can be transmitted across space, could entire realities be subtly entangled? Could these quantum bridges be the threads that bind multiverses together? Philosophical reflection deepens the narrative. Human intuition struggles with these ideas, clinging to separation, linearity, and causality. Yet the universe may not honor our sense of order. The bridges suggest a cosmos in which isolation is an illusion, in which each world is part of a larger network, in which interactions invisible to us shape the architecture of existence. The narration emphasizes awe and unease. We are actors on a stage whose back doors and secret corridors we cannot even perceive. The score intensifies as speculation reaches its peak. If quantum bridges exist, what could they hold? Alternate realities brushing against ours, echoes of decisions never made, universes where time flows differently or matter arranged in unimaginable patterns. The narration draws the audience to a haunting thought. We may already be interacting with these bridges without realizing it. Tiny anomalies, strange coincidences, unexplained phenomena. They may be whispers from other realms, subtle reminders that our universe is not a solitary stage. The imagery slows to a meditative close, a single glowing thread stretching across darkness. The narration whispers the possibility. If quantum bridges exist, the cosmos is not fragmented, but connected in ways we have only begun to imagine. Each bridge is a silent testament to the unity underlying apparent multiplicity, a hidden law that binds reality's disparate parts together. The section ends with a question that lingers like a pulse. If the bridges are real, then what might cross them? Are they conduits for particles, for energy, for consciousness, or for forces beyond our comprehension? And if so, then what we see is only the surface of a far greater, intricate network of existence, hidden in plain sight, waiting for discovery. The fractured realities. The screen opens on a city at twilight, streets glowing with neon reflections. Yet as the camera pans, the buildings shimmer, folding in on themselves, edges overlapping impossibly. The narration begins. What if the reality we experience is only one layer of existence, a veneer stretched over countless other dimensions, each with its own laws, each quietly shaping ours? These are the fractured realities, parallel strands of existence that coexist beside, above, or beneath our own. They are silent, unseen, yet their influence may be profound, guiding events, shaping possibilities, and whispering the hidden laws that govern all we perceive. The audience is drawn into quantum mechanics, the foundation for this vision. Every particle exists as a cloud of probabilities, spreading across possible states until observed. The many-worlds interpretation proposes that all possibilities are realized in branching realities. A coin flip does not merely land heads or tails. It does both, splitting reality into two parallel strands. Multiply this by every event, every decision, every interaction across the cosmos, and the result is staggering. A fractal of infinite realities, layered like pages in a book, each one real, each one separate, each one potentially influencing the others in ways subtle or catastrophic. Cinematic visuals illustrate this with mind-bending clarity. A single person walks through a street, yet shadows of alternate selves flicker briefly at the edge of perception. Another version crosses a different path. Another hesitates. Another chooses a path never taken. The narration emphasizes the haunting implication. For every life, every choice, there exists a mirrored life, perhaps only slightly different, perhaps radically altered. We are part of a multiverse of fractured realities, strands of existence vibrating in silent harmony or dissonance. The section deepens with the science of interference patterns. In the double-slit experiment, particles display behavior that suggests they interact with their own possible paths, creating interference even when no other particle is present. Could this be a subtle echo of alternate realities brushing against ours? The narration leans into mystery. Perhaps these realities are not entirely separate. Perhaps they influence one another, subtly shaping probabilities, guiding outcomes, nudging events like hidden currents beneath the ocean of experience. Philosophical reflections intertwine. Humanity has long sensed that reality may be layered. Ancient mystics spoke of planes of existence, worlds overlapping invisibly, accessible only through altered states of consciousness. Today, science offers a language for these intuitions: dimensions, quantum states, multiverses. The contrast between spiritual insight and empirical investigation creates tension, suggesting that what was once myth may now have a tangible counterpart in physics, and that fractured realities may be the bridge between belief and proof. Cinematic sequences illustrate this further. A cityscape folds in on itself repeatedly, as if time and space are elastic, overlapping, and multiplying. In each iteration, subtle differences emerge. A car takes a different turn, a conversation changes, a life diverges. The narration emphasizes both wonder and existential unease. If infinite realities exist, then every outcome is realized, every possibility enacted. Our successes and failures are echoed countless times, in dimensions we can never perceive. What does it mean to be unique in a cosmos where every possibility already exists? The section explores the implications for identity and consciousness. If alternate realities coexist, then versions of ourselves may inhabit each one. Decisions split us into multiple strands, each living a life that feels real. Our sense of self may be just one thread in a vast tapestry of existence. The narration probes deeply. Are we truly individuals, or merely expressions of an underlying fractal pattern of consciousness, duplicated and refracted across dimensions? This realization is both awe-inspiring and terrifying, challenging the very notion of what it means to be human. The imagery shifts to cosmic scales. Entire planets, stars, and galaxies exist in fractured realities, some nearly identical to ours, others incomprehensibly alien. Some universes may be inhospitable, burning with chaotic forces. Others may be perfect, untouched by suffering. The narration emphasizes contrast. For every paradise, a dystopia. For every success, a failure. For every life we know, countless variations that reflect every conceivable choice. Reality itself becomes a multicolored prism, refracting existence into infinite shades. The narrative intensifies with speculation about interaction. Some physicists suggest that under extreme conditions, such as near black holes or within high-energy particle collisions, traces of alternate realities might bleed into our own. Could anomalies, strange coincidences, or unexplainable phenomena be glimpses of fractured realities brushing against ours? The audience is held in suspense, the boundary between possibility and imagination blurred, as science hints at intersections that cannot yet be fully measured or understood. Human perception is explored next. Our senses filter reality, presenting a coherent narrative from what may be an underlying chaos of overlapping dimensions. Dreams, intuition, déjà vu, and other subtle experiences may hint at these fractures, providing fleeting glimpses of alternate strands. The narration emphasizes that what we perceive as randomness or chance may actually be the shadow of other realities influencing ours, silent and unseen, yet shaping the course of events. The section deepens its philosophical reflection. If fractured realities exist, then morality, consequence, and meaning take on new dimensions. Every choice is realized somewhere, yet only one path is experienced by the conscious mind. This raises profound questions. If every possible outcome exists, what weight do our decisions carry? Are we empowered by this cosmic abundance, or diminished by the knowledge that every success and failure is mirrored elsewhere? The narration balances awe with existential tension, leaving the audience both exhilarated and unsettled. As the section reaches its climax, imagery pulls back to a cosmic panorama. Universes ripple like water, each one a thread in a vast, interconnected lattice of fractured realities. Light bends between dimensions, time flows differently, and every choice radiates outward in infinite directions. The narration closes with a haunting thought. Perhaps reality is not singular, but a kaleidoscope, a fractal of infinite layers, and our lives, while real, are only one reflection among countless others. The screen fades slowly, leaving the audience suspended in contemplation, standing at the edge of understanding, caught between the comfort of the known and the terrifying beauty of infinite possibility. The nexus of consciousness. The screen opens in darkness, pierced only by a single flickering neuron, glowing like a star against the void. The narration begins softly. Consciousness, the mysterious spark that turns matter into awareness, may not be confined to our brains or even our universe. What if the mind itself is a bridge between realities, a nexus through which perception touches the hidden dimensions, the fractured universes, the shadow realms we have glimpsed? This section explores the profound possibility that consciousness is not merely a passenger in reality, but an architect, a silent force capable of interacting with the infinite. The camera drifts into the human brain, neurons firing in cascades of light. Each synapse glows as the narration explains quantum theories of consciousness. Some scientists propose that the brain operates not just classically, but at a quantum level, with microtubules and particles capable of entanglement, superposition, and tunneling. If so, then the mind is not limited to the three-dimensional world we perceive. It may interact with multiple realities simultaneously, sampling probabilities, sensing the unseen, touching the edges of dimensions where matter and time behave differently. Cinematic visuals illustrate this with abstract representations. A person sitting in quiet contemplation, surrounded by shifting threads of light that ripple and branch, each representing an alternate decision, an unchosen path, a mirrored reality. The narration emphasizes both awe and unease. If consciousness can access these hidden dimensions, then every thought, every decision, every fleeting emotion may echo beyond our perceived world, sending ripples through parallel realities, fracturing yet connecting existence in ways we cannot measure. The pacing shifts to focus on the phenomenon of altered states. Meditation, lucid dreaming, and psychedelic experiences may offer glimpses of realities beyond ordinary perception. Participants report sensing otherworldly spaces, communicating with entities, or observing events outside linear time. The narration carefully weaves science and mysticism. Perhaps these experiences are not hallucinations, but brief windows into dimensions that lie beside our own, accessed through the architecture of consciousness itself. The audience is left suspended between wonder and skepticism, balancing the known with the speculative. The section then explores the philosophical implications. If consciousness interacts with multiple realities, then the nature of self becomes fluid. Identity may not be confined to a single timeline or a single body. Perhaps the I that experiences life here is only one of countless versions of consciousness, each perceiving a different strand of existence. The narration pulls the audience into the tension between hope and dread. We are potentially far more than our singular experience, yet this vastness also dissolves certainty, leaving us questioning what is truly us. Cinematic imagery deepens the mystery. Neural pathways transform into fractal patterns extending into infinite space, linking stars, galaxies, and quantum particles. The narration explains that consciousness may act like a resonant frequency, capable of influencing or even navigating hidden dimensions. Experiments with quantum mind models, entangled photons, and superposition hint at subtle interactions between the observer and the observed, suggesting that awareness itself may play a role in shaping reality, collapsing probabilities, and connecting fractured strands of existence. The audience is drawn into the speculative edge of science. Could consciousness persist beyond physical death? Some interpretations of quantum mechanics suggest that the observer effect is not confined to a single body or lifetime. If awareness can influence the wave function, then it may continue in other branches of reality, manifesting in alternate versions or existing as pure observation in dimensions where matter and time behave differently. The narration contrasts hope and fear. Immortality may be possible, yet in forms we cannot imagine, separate from the comforts of identity we cling to. The narrative intensifies with the concept of interconnected minds. Just as particles can be entangled, some theorists speculate that consciousness itself may form networks, subtle links across space and dimensions. Perhaps intuition, empathy, or sudden insights are not purely local phenomena, but glimpses of other minds, other realities, brushing against our own. The camera visualizes this as threads of light stretching from one mind to another, spanning cities, continents, and even galaxies, vibrating in silent resonance across unseen dimensions. The section also explores the paradoxical duality of consciousness. On one hand, it is fragile, bound to perception and memory. On the other, it may be vast, capable of interacting with realities beyond comprehension. The narration emphasizes the emotional weight. Human experience may be simultaneously insignificant and cosmic, a single flicker of awareness among infinite possibilities, yet uniquely capable of perceiving, influencing, and reflecting the multiverse. The climax approaches as the narration ties consciousness to choice. Every decision may ripple across fractured realities. Every intention may leave traces in hidden dimensions. Our thoughts, fears, and desires are not contained. They resonate, creating subtle changes in the architecture of existence. The imagery depicts cascading realities bending and shifting with the flutter of awareness, suggesting that consciousness is not merely a passenger, but a navigator, tracing invisible pathways through the nexus of existence. The section closes with a haunting, meditative reflection. The screen fades to a single, glowing neuron suspended in darkness, pulsating rhythmically. The narration whispers. Perhaps reality itself waits for consciousness to perceive it. Perhaps the mind is the bridge connecting the known and the unknown, the finite and the infinite. And perhaps, in understanding the true nature of consciousness, we may finally glimpse the full tapestry of existence, where alternate dimensions, fractured realities, and shadow worlds are all bound together by the silent, luminous thread of awareness. The echoes of possibility. The screen opens to a vast cosmic panorama, stars shimmering like distant fires against the velvet of space. Yet the camera slowly pulls back, revealing layers upon layers of galaxies, each overlapping the next, as if reality itself is stacked like a cosmic origami. The narration begins. Every decision, every action, Every moment carries with it an echo, a resonance that stretches across dimensions, brushing against fractured realities, shadow universes, and hidden dimensions. These are the echoes of possibility, the subtle fingerprints of choice and chance that shape the multiverse in ways we can scarcely imagine. The audience is drawn into a visualization of quantum branching. A single particle can follow multiple paths, each path realized in a separate strand of reality. Multiply this effect by the uncountable decisions made across billions of lives, and the multiverse becomes a forest of infinite branches, each shimmering with the potential of what could be. The narration emphasizes awe and tension. Every choice we make sends ripples into unseen dimensions, some gentle, some catastrophic, some shaping worlds we may never glimpse. Cinematic imagery illustrates this concept with startling clarity. A person stands at a crossroads, and a street fractures into countless paths. In one, they turn left. In another, right. In another, they remain frozen, uncertain. Each path radiates energy, sending invisible waves outward, touching realities beyond sight. The narration reflects on human experience, our smallest decisions. Words spoken, gestures made, thoughts entertained, may resonate far beyond our perception, subtly influencing the structure of existence across multiple dimensions. The section then explores the science behind these echoes. Quantum mechanics suggests that observation collapses probabilities, yet the many-worlds interpretation implies that all probabilities continue to exist in branching realities. In this framework, every possibility generates its own echo, a signal reverberating through parallel worlds. The narration weaves suspense. Perhaps the anomalies we observe, the unexpected coincidences, the moments of serendipity, the glimpses of synchronicity, are the faint reverberations of other realities brushing against ours. Philosophical reflection deepens the narrative. Humanity has long sensed that our actions carry unseen consequences. Ancient cultures spoke of karma, the butterfly effect, and the interconnectedness of all things. Modern physics may be revealing that these intuitions were closer to truth than we realized. Every decision we make may ripple outward, touching lives, worlds, and dimensions we cannot perceive. The narration balances hope and unease. Our choices may hold profound significance, yet they may also vanish into the infinite, leaving only faint echoes behind. Cinematic sequences depict these echoes as ripples of light moving across water. Only the water is reality itself, layers of existence vibrating in response. The narration emphasizes the emotional resonance. These echoes are both empowering and terrifying. They suggest that we are agents of influence in a universe far larger and more intricate than our senses reveal. Yet they also imply that the consequences of our actions may be dispersed across realities we can never fully comprehend or control. The pacing shifts to explore temporal echoes. Just as choices send ripples across space, so too do they echo through time. Past actions reverberate forward, shaping future events in ways subtle or dramatic. Similarly, future possibilities may fold backward, influencing present outcomes through unseen pathways. The narration heightens suspense. If time is not strictly linear, then every decision, even now, may resonate across past and future dimensions, creating patterns that stretch beyond comprehension. Cinematic imagery transitions to cosmic and microscopic scales simultaneously. Galaxies spin, neurons fire, and quantum particles dance, all in a rhythm that mirrors and amplifies one another. The narration draws the audience into the concept of resonance across scales. Echoes of possibility connect the smallest and largest structures, from quantum events to planetary systems, from human choices to the evolution of entire civilizations. The universe is alive with interconnected vibrations, each echo shaping the next. The section deepens with speculation on consciousness as a catalyst for these echoes. The mind, as a nexus of perception, choice, and awareness, may amplify the reverberations of reality. Intentions, thoughts, and emotions could act as subtle signals, influencing the unfolding of alternate dimensions. The narration suggests a delicate tension. We are both observers and participants, capable of nudging the echoes, yet largely unaware of the vast complexity our consciousness engages with. The narrative explores contrast between hope and fear. On one hand, the echoes of possibility offer redemption, second chances, worlds where tragedy is softened, where unfulfilled dreams find their resonance in other dimensions. On the other hand, the same echoes carry shadow, multiplying failure, suffering, and loss across realities. Every joy is mirrored by sorrow, every success by struggle. The cinematic imagery reflects this duality, alternating between luminous, vibrant threads of light and dark, twisting shadows that stretch across the cosmos. The section then addresses the human longing for meaning in this infinite web. If each possibility leaves an echo, then our lives are not isolated. They ripple outward, touching the multiverse in ways profound and unseen. The narration heightens emotional resonance. Our struggles, triumphs, and even mundane choices may reverberate across dimensions, a testament to the hidden significance of existence. Yet the uncertainty remains. Some echoes may fade, lost in the vastness, never reaching comprehension, leaving us both humbled and awed. The climax approaches as the narration unites the scales of reality. Echoes of possibility are not abstract. They are woven into the very fabric of existence, connecting consciousness, quantum mechanics, space, and time. Every life, every decision, every fleeting thought contributes to a vast symphony of reverberating realities, silent yet powerful, shaping the multiverse in ways we cannot see but can intuitively feel. The audience is left suspended in both wonder and vertigo, confronted with the enormity of their own subtle influence. The section closes with a meditative, haunting reflection. The screen fades to a single ripple spreading across a calm, cosmic surface, radiating infinitely outward. The narration whispers, "Perhaps every choice we make is more than we know. Every action sends echoes that shape realities beyond our perception." And in this silent resonance, the universe reminds us that we are simultaneously small and infinite, transient yet enduring, a note in the endless symphony of existence. The veins of the multiverse. The screen opens with a vast aerial view of a thunderstorm at night, lightning cracking across the sky, illuminating rivers, mountains, and forests below. The camera then pulls back, revealing the planet as a tiny sphere within the swirling galaxy, which itself is but one in countless cosmic systems. The narration begins. Beneath the apparent stillness of the universe runs an unseen network, a hidden circulation connecting realities, dimensions, and consciousness itself. These are the veins of the multiverse, pathways of energy, matter, and information that bind disparate worlds into a living, breathing system far greater than we can perceive. Cinematic imagery transitions to the quantum level, where particles flash in and out of existence, entangled across distances unimaginable. The narration explains that these invisible currents, forces we detect only indirectly, may form the infrastructure of the multiverse. Gravity, dark matter, quantum entanglement, and other subtle phenomena could be threads in a cosmic circulatory system, carrying influence, energy, and perhaps even information between fractured realities, shadow universes, and hidden dimensions. The audience is drawn into awe and curiosity. The universe may not be a collection of isolated objects, but a network alive with silent connectivity. The narration deepens, exploring the metaphysical implications. If the multiverse has veins, then it may also have pulse. Perhaps the universe breathes, pulses, and resonates through dimensions in ways imperceptible to us. Each choice, each decision, Each flicker of consciousness could act like a heartbeat, sending shock waves across realities, subtly shifting events, nudging probabilities, and leaving traces in worlds we will never directly observe. The imagery reinforces this. Fractal patterns ripple through galaxies, mirroring neural networks, rivers, and the flow of energy across the cosmos. Everything seems interconnected, vibrating in silent symmetry. The section shifts focus to hidden energy flows. Dark energy, responsible for the accelerating expansion of the universe, is largely invisible, yet it dominates cosmic dynamics. The narration speculates, could dark energy be one of the veins of the multiverse, a force threading through dimensions, driving expansion, motion, and interaction between realities? It may be a hidden current carrying not only matter and energy, but subtle echoes of consciousness or probabilistic influence, shaping the very structure of existence. The audience is suspended between the excitement of possibility and the chill of the unknown. Cinematic sequences illustrate connections between the micro and macro. Neurons fire in a brain, their electrical impulses resonating like cosmic vibrations. Galaxies spin and collide, their energy mirrored in particle accelerators on Earth. The narration draws parallels. The veins of the multiverse may operate across all scales, from the subatomic to the cosmic, linking life, consciousness, and matter in a network that defies conventional understanding. Each ripple, each pulse, each vibration contributes to the ongoing circulation of reality itself. The narrative shifts to consciousness as a participant in this flow. Human intention, thought, and awareness may not be contained within our minds, but may resonate outward along these veins. Decisions may influence other realities, subtly altering probabilities or outcomes. Experiments in quantum mechanics and entanglement suggest that observation affects reality. If consciousness interacts with quantum states, then minds everywhere may contribute to the currents running through the multiverse. The narration balances hope and awe. Our awareness may be more powerful than we realize, capable of touching dimensions we cannot see. The section explores metaphorical parallels. Ancient mystics described the universe as a living organism, its veins carrying life force, its pulse shaping existence. Modern physics may echo this vision, albeit in a different language. The narration emphasizes the emotional resonance. What we once called spirit, chi, or cosmic energy may be the human attempt to describe phenomena that science now approaches with equations and observation. There is continuity between intuition and empirical knowledge, suggesting that the veins of the multiverse are both scientific and experiential, tangible yet mysterious. Cinematic contrast deepens with the dangers and mysteries of these veins. Just as blood vessels can carry life, they can carry disease. Just as rivers sustain life, they can flood and destroy. Similarly, the veins of the multiverse may allow positive influence, but they could also transmit chaos, collapse, or catastrophe. Cataclysmic events, natural or man-made, may resonate through dimensions, creating echoes and feedback loops that influence realities in ways we cannot predict. The narration heightens suspense. Hidden currents may be both the lifeblood and the hazard of existence. The imagery shifts to visualization of alternate dimensions layered like translucent sheets. Pulses of light travel along invisible threads, connecting points across universes. The narration explains that these pulses could represent the movement of energy, information, or even consciousness, allowing fractured realities to interact in subtle ways. Small events may ripple outward, magnifying in distant worlds, influencing alternate outcomes, or leaving traces of our reality in places unseen. The audience is left with both wonder and unease. We may never see these veins, yet they shape everything. The section explores the philosophical dimension. If the multiverse has veins, then it is not random or disconnected. It has structure, flow, and rhythm. Humanity may be part of this circulation, our choices and consciousness feeding into the network, participating in the unseen architecture of existence. The narration balances awe with reflection. We are simultaneously insignificant and essential, fleeting points of awareness along the hidden currents that link all that is. The climax approaches with speculation on interdimensional resonance. Could these veins allow communication, travel, or transfer of energy between universes? Could consciousness intentionally navigate them? Or are we merely passengers, influenced without awareness? The imagery depicts glowing threads connecting stars, galaxies, and human minds, vibrating with potential. The narration leaves the audience suspended in possibility. If the veins of the multiverse are real, they may contain paths, currents, and connections that could redefine life, physics, and consciousness itself. The section closes with a haunting reflection. The screen fades to a single luminous thread stretching into the infinite, pulsating rhythmically like a heartbeat. The narration whispers, "We may never walk these veins consciously, yet every thought, every action, every decision may send pulses through them, linking realities, consciousness, and energy in a silent, eternal circulation." In these veins flows the hidden architecture of the multiverse, reminding us that existence is not fragmented but intricately connected, alive with possibilities beyond comprehension. The Symphony of Forces. The screen opens with a storm raging over an endless ocean, lightning tearing across the sky, while waves crash with a thunderous rhythm. The narration begins. The universe is alive not only with matter and energy, but with invisible forces vibrating in harmony and dissonance across dimensions. Gravity pulls, electromagnetism pulses, strong and weak nuclear forces hum within atoms, and beyond them may exist hidden forces yet undetected. Together, they form a symphony, a vast orchestration of influence that shapes the cosmos and perhaps bridges alternate realities. These forces are the music of existence, silent yet profound, guiding particles, planets, and consciousness alike. Cinematic imagery transitions to the microscopic. Subatomic particles dance in elaborate patterns, each force acting as an instrument in the symphony. The narration explains that the laws of physics we observe, motion, energy conservation, electromagnetic attraction, are notes in a greater composition. But what if there are additional instruments, hidden forces that interact with other dimensions? Forces that ripple into shadow universes, fractured realities, and hidden layers of existence? The audience is drawn into awe. The universe may be far richer and more interconnected than previously imagined, a multi-layered symphony whose full melody we cannot yet hear. The narration delves into the idea of unification. Physicists have long sought a grand unified theory, a single framework that links all known forces into one elegant equation. Gravity, electromagnetism, and nuclear forces may be variations of a deeper, hidden principle, hints of the silent laws governing all dimensions. The imagery depicts cosmic threads connecting galaxies, subatomic structures glowing with energy, and neural networks pulsing in synchrony, all vibrating to the same underlying rhythm. The narration emphasizes both wonder and urgency. Discovering these forces could reveal the hidden architecture linking every particle, star, and consciousness across the multiverse. The audience is drawn into contrast and tension. Some forces are visible and familiar. Gravity keeps planets in orbit. Light illuminates the cosmos. Magnetism guides compasses. Others are subtle, mysterious, barely perceptible. Dark energy accelerating cosmic expansion. Dark matter shaping galaxies through invisible gravity. Quantum entanglement connecting particles across vast distances. And yet, even these may only be fragments of a greater composition. The narration heightens suspense. If hidden forces exist, they may connect our universe to others, bridging dimensions silently, invisibly, yet inevitably. Cinematic sequences depict energy flowing through networks of light, branching across scales from the quantum to the cosmic. The narration explains that these forces may carry information, influence probabilities, or shape reality in ways we cannot perceive. A butterfly flaps its wings, and faint ripples extend along invisible veins, connecting human thought, quantum events, and cosmic dynamics. The audience is suspended between wonder and unease. The same forces that allow life and stability may also transmit chaos, unpredictability, and danger across dimensions. The section deepens into the philosophical implications. If forces permeate multiple dimensions, then reality is not isolated but interconnected. Every action, every thought, and every particle may resonate with these forces, subtly influencing not only our universe but also shadow worlds and parallel realities. The narration draws attention to human responsibility. Awareness, intention, and choice may amplify or modulate these forces, suggesting that consciousness is not a passive observer, but an active participant in the symphony of existence. Cinematic visuals transition to abstract representations of resonance. Vibrating strings of energy stretch across dimensions, each oscillation producing harmonics in neighboring realities. The narration emphasizes that even small events may ripple outward, amplified by the hidden architecture of the universe. Tiny decisions, fleeting thoughts, or minor shifts in energy could resonate across fractured realities, subtly altering outcomes and creating echoes of influence we cannot measure. The interplay between order and chaos becomes apparent. The symphony is beautiful, but also unpredictable, a delicate balance of structure and spontaneity. The narrative explores the implications of these forces on the flow of time and consciousness. If hidden forces connect realities, they may influence temporal dynamics, subtly altering how events unfold, accelerating some, delaying others. Consciousness itself may interact with these forces, amplifying or dampening ripples across dimensions. The audience is drawn into existential tension. The cosmos may be alive with currents we cannot see, yet those currents may touch us intimately, shaping our perception, experience, and destiny in ways beyond understanding. The pacing slows to explore human perception of these phenomena. Science reveals measurable effects, but intuition and mystical experience may detect subtle harmonics. Dreams, déjà vu, and premonitions could be faint impressions of forces interacting with consciousness and dimensions beyond our perception. The narration contrasts empirical knowledge with experiential insight, suggesting that understanding the symphony of forces requires both rigor and intuition, logic and imagination. Cinematic imagery shifts to planetary and galactic scales. Supernovae explode, sending shockwaves of energy across space. Black holes bend light and warp time. Galaxies dance in gravitational choreography. The narration highlights that these colossal phenomena are manifestations of the same symphony observed at quantum scales, emphasizing a fractal harmony that spans micro and macro. The audience feels both awe and humility. The universe is a vast orchestra, and we are both players and observers, attuned to notes we may never fully hear. The section then explores the possibility of manipulating or navigating these forces. Advanced civilizations, hypothetical beings, or even human consciousness at peak potential may be capable of detecting and interacting with these hidden currents, subtly influencing outcomes across dimensions. The narration balances wonder and caution. Such power carries responsibility, for altering the symphony could reverberate unpredictably, creating consequences that echo across realities. The narrative intensifies with speculation about cosmic feedback. Forces may not only connect realities, but also communicate, adjust, and self-correct, creating a dynamic, living multiverse. Events in one dimension could ripple outward, producing counter-responses, harmonics, or interference patterns in another. The imagery visualizes this as a cascading network of light and energy, each pulse responding to countless others, creating patterns of beauty, complexity, and sometimes chaos. The narration emphasizes that reality is alive in ways subtle, profound, and unseen. This section reaches a climactic reflection. The symphony of forces is both the scaffold and the lifeblood of existence, connecting particles, planets, consciousness, and dimensions into a single intricate network. Human awareness is part of this orchestration, capable of subtle influence, yet largely unaware of the vast architecture in which it participates. The audience is left suspended in awe. The universe is simultaneously ordered and mysterious, predictable and wild, a symphony whose final notes we may never fully hear. The screen fades to a quiet cosmic resonance, a single pulse of light stretching across infinite space. The narration whispers, "The forces of the multiverse are silent yet omnipresent, weaving connections across realities, guiding existence with invisible hands, and reminding us that the cosmos is more alive, more intricate, and more profoundly interconnected than we have ever imagined." The convergence point. The screen opens with a breathtaking panorama, galaxies spiraling toward one another, their luminous arms stretching across the void, threading together in a cosmic dance. The narration begins with a quiet, compelling intensity. What if all the hidden dimensions, fractured realities, shadow universes, and quantum forces are not separate, but destined to converge? There exists a hypothetical nexus, a convergence point, where threads of existence intersect, where the veins of the multiverse pulse in unison, and where consciousness itself may resonate across all dimensions simultaneously. This is a place of ultimate possibility and ultimate peril, a junction where the infinite intersects and the extraordinary becomes tangible. Cinematic visuals shift to a microscopic level, particles vibrating in entangled patterns, subatomic strings weaving across hidden planes, their movements synchronized in ways science can detect only partially. The narration emphasizes the scale of the phenomenon. From the quantum to the cosmic, everything is interconnected, suggesting that the convergence point is not merely spatial, but multidimensional, a nexus that transcends our conventional understanding of time, space, and causality. The audience feels both awe and suspense, suspended on the precipice of the unknown. The section delves into the implications of probability and quantum branching. Each reality, each choice, each echo of possibility radiates outward, converging toward critical junctures where events align, intersect, and amplify one another. Cinematic imagery depicts fractal patterns folding in upon themselves, threads of alternate timelines intertwining, some reinforcing, others canceling out. The narration highlights the emotional tension. At this convergence point, potentialities become palpable. The universe's latent harmonies resonate, and the very fabric of existence vibrates with concentrated energy. The audience is guided through philosophical reflection. Humanity has long imagined thresholds, points of transformation, and moments of ultimate decision. The convergence point may be a literal counterpart to these metaphors. It is where free will and determinism meet, where chaos and order collide, where choices echo beyond the visible and tangible into the hidden architecture of reality. The narration draws contrast. Hope and fear, creation and destruction, light and shadow, all are compressed into this singular, multidimensional nexus, waiting to unfold. Cinematic sequences illustrate the narrative. Imagine multiple versions of Earth, shimmering faintly like spectral layers, drawing closer, their timelines bending toward a single resonance. Alternate selves approach each other across invisible dimensions, their decisions and experiences converging. The narration emphasizes wonder and existential gravity. What if every reality we have explored, the shadow universe, fractured realities, quantum bridges, the echoes of possibility, exist not as isolated phenomena, but as components of a grand convergence? Every action, every thought, every ripple of consciousness may be subtly guiding the universe toward this critical juncture. The narration then explores the role of consciousness in the convergence. If minds resonate across dimensions, then awareness itself may act as a catalyst, amplifying or modulating the intersection of realities. Human intention, focus, and perception may not be mere bystanders, but participants in the cosmic orchestration, capable of influencing the alignment of realities in ways subtle or profound. Cinematic visuals depict luminous threads extending from human minds into the multiverse, intertwining with particles, galaxies, and other consciousnesses in a web of silent interaction. The emotional tone balances, all with the weight of responsibility. The section shifts to cosmic forces. Gravity, dark matter, dark energy, and the hidden veins of the multiverse may guide the convergence, exerting invisible pressure that draws realities together. The narration emphasizes suspense. These forces may align worlds, amplify echoes, or create feedback loops of unimaginable intensity. The cinematic imagery depicts spiraling galaxies, energy surges, and particles collapsing and expanding, conveying a sense of kinetic grandeur. The audience senses the immense power and danger inherent in the convergence point. Speculative science enriches the narrative. Theoretical physics suggests that singularities, black holes, neutron stars, and other extreme phenomena could act as focal points, bridging realities and concentrating energy across dimensions. Perhaps the convergence point is a cosmic singularity, a nexus where the laws of physics as we know them bend, break, and transform. The narration heightens tension. Reaching such a point may unlock unparalleled understanding, or trigger cascading consequences that ripple across the multiverse in unpredictable ways. The pacing slows to explore human experience and perception. Dreams, intuition, synchronicities, and unexplainable phenomena may be subtle signs that the convergence point is influencing our reality. The narration emphasizes mystery, fleeting glimpses of alternate realities, moments of déjà vu, or sudden insights may be resonances emanating from this nexus. Consciousness may perceive its pull long before science can quantify it, hinting that awareness itself is attuned to the multiverse's deepest harmonies. Cinematic sequences illustrate potential consequences. Threads of reality intertwine, light bending between dimensions, landscapes folding into one another, and timelines converging into singular streams of energy. The narration emphasizes both beauty and dread. At the convergence point, creation and annihilation coexist, possibilities are magnified, and the stakes are universal. Every act, every intention, every choice carries amplified weight, rippling outward to shape the structure and evolution of existence itself. The philosophical dimension deepens. If the convergence point exists, it suggests that the multiverse is not chaotic, but purposeful, orchestrated through forces, consciousness, and probability. The narrative draws contrast. While the universe may appear random and fragmented, underlying it is a silent architecture guiding realities toward alignment. Hope and fear coexist. The potential for ultimate knowledge, understanding, and transcendence, alongside the risk of collapse, imbalance, or annihilation. The section then explores interdimensional interaction. Entities, energies, or consciousnesses from alternate realities may converge simultaneously, potentially communicating, influencing, or even colliding. Cinematic visuals depict interlacing lights, faint silhouettes of alternate selves, and energy pulses weaving through space. The narration emphasizes suspense. The convergence point may be a meeting of countless worlds, a junction where existence itself becomes malleable, and where the choices of one reality echo across all others. The climax builds with a focus on human significance. In a vast multiverse, individuals may seem inconsequential, yet their awareness, choices, and perception may resonate within the convergence. Every act of courage, love, insight, or destruction contributes to the cosmic alignment. The narration balances awe and existential weight. The convergence point magnifies every influence, suggesting that even the smallest ripple in consciousness can resonate across infinite dimensions. The section closes with a meditative, haunting reflection. The screen fades to a single luminous nexus at the center of infinity, threads of light spiraling in and out, pulsing with unseen energy. The narration whispers. The convergence point is both destination and journey, both revelation and mystery. It is where all realities intersect, all possibilities meet, and consciousness may finally glimpse the full symphony of existence. And as we stand on the edge of understanding, we are reminded that the universe is not isolated, not fragmented, but a grand, converging network of infinite wonder and unfathomable consequence. The threshold of infinity. The screen opens with a vast expanse of stars stretching beyond comprehension, galaxies colliding in slow-motion brilliance, and cosmic filaments connecting clusters of light like veins across a living organism. The narration begins. Beyond the boundaries of perception lies a threshold, a point where the known universe dissolves into the unknown, where dimensions fold upon themselves, and where the laws of reality become fluid. This is the threshold of infinity, a liminal space where the rules we rely upon falter, and where the mysteries of alternate dimensions, fractured realities, and hidden forces converge into a singular, overwhelming presence. Cinematic visuals transition from the cosmic to the microscopic. Quantum particles flicker in and out of existence, their probabilities branching endlessly, entangling across spaces and dimensions invisible to ordinary sight. The narration emphasizes the interplay of scale. From the infinitesimal to the infinite, reality vibrates with complexity, and this threshold exists at the nexus of these scales, bridging the tangible and the unseen, the measurable and the ineffable. The audience is drawn into awe and suspense, teetering on the edge of understanding and imagination. The section explores the notion of potentiality. At the threshold, all possibilities coexist simultaneously, superimposed upon one another like layers of translucent light. Cinematic imagery depicts overlapping realities, cities folding into themselves, forests shimmering with alternate timelines, oceans reflecting multiple moons. The narration underscores mystery and emotional tension. Here, every choice, every probability, every echo of consciousness manifests somewhere, touching realities that remain hidden yet undeniably present. The universe is a multicolored prism, refracting every possibility across infinite dimensions. The narrative delves into the physics of the threshold. Quantum mechanics, entanglement, and the many worlds interpretation suggest that reality is far more fluid than classical intuition allows. Particles influence one another across vast distances. Decisions branch realities endlessly, and probabilities manifest in ways that challenge linear causality. Cinematic sequences visualize this. Streams of light representing quantum states intersect and diverge, folding across invisible dimensions, creating patterns of harmony and dissonance simultaneously. The narration emphasizes the awe-inspiring complexity. The threshold is where the universe's hidden laws are most vividly on display, a realm of simultaneous order and chaos. Philosophical reflection deepens the narrative. Humanity has long sought to touch the infinite through contemplation, exploration, and imagination. The threshold embodies this pursuit, a space where thought, perception, and reality intertwine. The narration contrasts hope and fear. It promises understanding, transcendence, and revelation, yet it is fraught with danger, uncertainty, and existential weight. Standing at the threshold, we confront the enormity of existence itself, aware that what lies beyond may challenge every assumption we hold. The section explores consciousness as a navigator. Human awareness may be capable of perceiving, interacting with, and even influencing this liminal space. Dreams, intuition, mystical experiences, and heightened states of perception may offer fleeting glimpses of the threshold, allowing us to sense the structure of the multiverse and the pathways connecting realities. Cinematic imagery depicts a person standing at the edge of a luminous void, threads of light extending from their mind into countless dimensions, pulsing with resonances that mirror both thought and possibility. The narration emphasizes wonder and responsibility. Consciousness is not merely a spectator, but a participant in the unfolding of the infinite. The pacing shifts to the emotional and existential implications. At the threshold, time may become fluid, space may bend, and identity may fragment across alternate selves. The narration emphasizes contrast, freedom and terror, creation and destruction, unity and multiplicity all coexist here. Choices resonate with magnified consequences, and every thought may ripple across hidden dimensions. Cinematic visuals depict alternate versions of a person converging and diverging in patterns of luminous energy, highlighting both the beauty and the danger of infinite possibility. The narrative expands on the convergence of forces at this liminal boundary. Gravity, dark energy, quantum entanglement, and other hidden currents intersect, weaving a network that transcends conventional understanding. The threshold amplifies these interactions, allowing forces from alternate dimensions and realities to influence one another in subtle yet profound ways. The audience is suspended between awe and suspense, sensing that the very fabric of existence is alive, dynamic, and responsive. The section explores the philosophical weight of knowledge. Understanding the threshold may reveal the interconnectedness of all things: matter, energy, consciousness, and dimensions. Yet this insight carries existential responsibility. Perceiving the infinite can be both liberating and destabilizing, offering glimpses of ultimate meaning while confronting the mind with incomprehensible scales and possibilities. Cinematic imagery emphasizes this. Stars spiral into luminous vortices, realities fold and intersect, and consciousness extends tendrils into the cosmic expanse, touching threads of hidden dimensions. The narrative introduces speculative possibilities. Could civilizations harness the threshold to navigate dimensions, manipulate probabilities, or communicate across realities? Could consciousness intentionally resonate with hidden currents to influence outcomes in multiple universes? The narration balances wonder and caution. The threshold is not merely a scientific or philosophical frontier, but a realm of both potential and peril, where exploration may yield profound understanding or catastrophic disruption. Cinematic sequences highlight temporal and spatial fluidity. Past, present, and future intertwine, cause and effect overlap. Events in one dimension echo in countless others. The threshold exists at the intersection of these layers, a space where conventional logic falters and perception expands. The narration emphasizes the emotional and intellectual tension. Here, the cosmos reveals itself as a living, vibrating network, infinitely complex yet intimately connected to consciousness. The section deepens the exploration of human significance. At the threshold, individuals are both small and immense. A single consciousness may seem insignificant against the infinity of possibilities, yet its influence may ripple outward, touching realities far beyond immediate perception. The narration highlights hope and wonder. Even fleeting awareness, intentional action, or curiosity may resonate with the multiverse, sending echoes across hidden dimensions and shaping the unfolding of existence itself. The narrative builds to a climactic reflection. The threshold of infinity is simultaneously terrifying and inspiring, a realm where all hidden laws, fractured realities, quantum bridges, veins of the multiverse, and converging possibilities meet. Cinematic imagery depicts streams of light folding across dimensions, consciousness extending tendrils into the infinite, and universes pulsating in resonance with one another. The narration leaves the audience suspended in awe. The threshold is where understanding, imagination, and existence converge, a liminal frontier at the edge of perception and comprehension. The section closes with a haunting meditation. The screen fades to a single pulse of light stretching into the void, threads of infinite possibility radiating outward. The narration whispers, "The threshold of infinity is not merely a place, but a state of understanding, a point where perception touches the infinite, and where consciousness glimpses the full architecture of existence." It is both an invitation and a challenge, reminding us that the universe is more vast, interconnected, and profound than we have ever imagined. The Symphony of the Multiverse. The screen opens with an expansive view of the cosmos, a kaleidoscope of galaxies, stars, and nebulae, each layer shimmering with its own subtle hue. As the camera pulls back, these layers begin to interlace, forming a luminous web that stretches infinitely, a cosmic lattice vibrating with silent energy. The narration begins with reverence. Reality is not singular, not linear, not confined to what we can see or measure. Instead, it is a symphony of infinite dimensions, fractured realities, and hidden universes, each contributing its own note, its own rhythm, to the grand orchestration of existence. This final section unites all previous explorations, offering a profound contemplation of the multiverse as an interconnected, conscious, and infinitely complex whole. Cinematic imagery immerses the audience in both the vast and the minute. Quantum particles flicker like tiny stars, neurons fire in complex patterns, and galaxies spiral in synchrony across overlapping dimensions. The narration emphasizes awe and scale, from the subatomic to the cosmic, from the fleeting decision of a single individual to the evolution of entire civilizations. All threads converge into a unified symphony. Each note resonates with possibility, every vibration echoing across realities, reminding us that existence is both delicate and infinitely robust. The section delves into the architecture of the multiverse. Fractured realities, hidden veins, the lattice of fate, and converging dimensions form a network of unprecedented complexity. The narration highlights the elegance of this structure. Like a vast orchestra, each element, from particle to planet, thought to action, performs its part in harmony with countless others, producing outcomes both subtle and monumental. Cinematic sequences illustrate this with glowing threads weaving between stars, dimensions folding and unfolding, and alternate realities flickering briefly before merging into coherent patterns. The narrative explores consciousness as the ultimate instrument in this symphony. Minds are not passive observers, but resonant nodes, capable of perceiving, influencing, and interacting with realities beyond ordinary comprehension. Intuition, creativity, dreams, and even fleeting emotions may reflect awareness brushing against hidden layers of existence. Cinematic visuals depict consciousness as luminous energy, radiating from individuals, connecting with the lattice of reality, sending ripples across dimensions, and harmonizing with the rhythms of the multiverse itself. The narration evokes both wonder and existential reflection. Our awareness is simultaneously singular and interconnected, limited yet capable of touching infinity. The section revisits the concept of choice and consequence, magnified across dimensions. Every decision resonates like a chord, echoing through fractured realities, shadow universes, and alternate dimensions. Minor choices may produce subtle harmonics, while monumental decisions create resounding crescendos that shift entire worlds. Cinematic imagery portrays these effects as ripples of light spreading across cosmic lattices, bending the pathways of stars, galaxies, and quantum particles. The narration underscores emotional tension. In a universe so vast and interconnected, even the smallest act carries significance, contributing to the unfolding melody of existence. Temporal dynamics are explored as the symphony unfolds. Past, present, and future intertwine like interwoven musical motifs, each influencing and refracting the others. Converging realities create feedback loops, where echoes of past decisions resonate in the present, and glimpses of possible futures inform current choices. The narration deepens suspense and mystery. Time is not linear, but harmonic, a continuum in which all moments exist in subtle interplay, producing harmonics that shape the multiverse's evolving structure. Cinematic sequences depict time folding, spiraling, and overlapping, revealing the interplay of causality and resonance in breathtaking visual clarity. This section addresses the emotional and philosophical implications of the multiversal symphony. Humanity is part of this grand composition, both fleeting and eternal. Cinematic imagery shifts between intimate human moments, laughter, grief, love, hesitation, and cosmic phenomena, drawing parallels between individual experience and universal dynamics. The narration evokes awe, humility, and inspiration. Our lives are notes in an infinite composition, our thoughts, actions, and emotions reverberating across realities. The multiverse is at once indifferent and intimately connected, vast yet responsive to the resonance of consciousness. Cinematic sequences explore the interplay of order and chaos. Alternate dimensions flicker with possibilities. Veins of reality pulse unpredictably, and converging threads of existence overlap in patterns that are sometimes harmonious, sometimes dissonant. The narration emphasizes tension and beauty. The symphony of the multiverse is not uniform. It contains improvisation, accident, and unpredictability, yet these elements enrich its complexity, producing an infinite variety of melodies, harmonies, and counterpoints that evolve continuously. The narrative also reflects on the ethical and existential weight of interconnectedness. If every action, thought, and intention resonates across realities, then responsibility and mindfulness acquire cosmic significance. Cinematic imagery shows ripples emanating from human actions into fractal representations of alternate worlds. The narration emphasizes contrast, hope and despair, creation and destruction, joy and suffering. Each note contributes to the evolving pattern. We are both fragile and powerful, fleeting and eternal, capable of influencing the multiverse in ways subtle, profound, and unseen. The section synthesizes all previous themes: fractured realities, alternate dimensions, the lattice of fate, veins of reality, convergence, consciousness, and choice, into a culminating vision. Cinematic visuals depict infinite layers of existence folding into one another, nodes of consciousness glowing brightly at their intersections, and threads of possibility vibrating in harmony across the cosmos. The narration crescendos with both majesty and intimacy. The multiverse is a living, resonant symphony, a grand composition in which every element participates, from the smallest particle to the most expansive dimension, from the briefest human thought to the eternal flow of cosmic energy. The climax emphasizes transcendence and wonder. Light, energy, consciousness, and matter all converge in a dazzling, dynamic spectacle, creating a visual and emotional experience that bridges awe, mystery, and understanding. The narration reflects, perhaps the ultimate truth of existence is not singular, not isolated, but harmonic, multidimensional, and profoundly interconnected. Every reality, every possibility, every consciousness contributes to the eternal unfolding of the multiverse, producing a symphony that is infinite, beautiful, and alive. The section closes with a meditative, haunting reflection. The screen fades to a single point of light radiating softly, simultaneously revealing and concealing the infinite web of realities it connects. The narration whispers, perhaps we are not mere observers of existence, but participants, resonating with the rhythms of the cosmos, intertwined with countless realities, echoing through the lattice of fate, the veins of reality, and the convergence of worlds. And in this symphony, we glimpse the ultimate beauty, mystery, and unity of existence, where every note, every possibility, and every consciousness contributes to the eternal harmony of the multiverse.